let's make a game where you tap things and there's no gameplay and you just give us money and they all make this face. Yeah, but that's the thing. There are games for everyone. You just gotta enjoy the games that are put in front of you. Some of us like the phone games, some of us like the console games, some of us like it on computer versus console, some of us are just gamers all around. We play literally everything everywhere, and that's kind of where I am. So I have played Clash of Clans, and I've played a few of the other ones on here, but yeah, no, it's not for everyone, and it doesn't make you any less of a gamer. It's just fun stuff. Enjoy. But yeah, that face, everyone looks hungry, They all look like they're trying to get their meal from McDonald's and it's taking too long to receive their order. So they're just yelling at the guy behind the counter. It's a hat? Yeah, I mean, obviously it was one of those things that I think that it was actually one of those original facts of Nintendo or whatnot. But yeah, I'd never really considered that to be their actual head. I mean, there are those little floating mushroom things around, and these guys are not those little mushrooms that you can consume. So, well, I mean, I don't know. Mario, maybe he's slightly cannibalistic towards the toads, but the other mushrooms that are around that you can consume don't look very much like the toads. So yeah, it makes sense that it would be a hat. I think that there was something I read in an original Nintendo document somewhere, like one of their original manuscripts or manuals that used to come with the games, that it was a hat, but I can't remember now. Been way too long. But yeah, cool. It's a hat. Now you know. Secret's out. There's a strong link between violence and video games, and everyone's upset. Violence causes video games, and then everyone's happy. Yeah, that's true. Example, World War I, Battlefield 1, World War II, Call of Duty 2. Yeah, well, those video games were specifically taken from that particular setting, but no, in the end, I think we had something on this last week that violence in video games, there's never been any real correlation. I played violent video games my whole life. Not exclusively, of course I've played Mario and other stuff, but there have been a lot of violent aspects in some of the video games that I've played that have never really enticed me to be violent myself. So, but yeah, violence causes video games, of course. I mean, you play a horror game because there's serial killers out there, because there are dangerous people and stuff like that, and people make games over it as a coping mechanism. I can only assume. But yeah, this is a good example. I like this one. Video games cause violence. Also video games. Press circle to meow. Yeah, Stray. I haven't played Stray, but I have heard many great things about it. I will play one of these days for sure. But again, just like the last one, video games don't cause violence. Violent people may play video games, but video games themselves are not causing violence. I think that there is a big problem of causality in a lot of things in which people think, oh, there are a lot of violent people who play violent video games, so therefore the violent video games are causing the violence. No, the violent people like violence, so they play the violent video games. So you'll find a lot of violent people playing violent video games, because, I mean, that's a way for them to express their violence. So, no, I think that there's definitely one of those causality things, and it messes everyone up. But yeah, press circle to meow. That seems pretty violent to me. That game, I think, is, well, it's not violent, but it is kind of dark, so it's one that I'm going to try soon. The extremely hard choices in video games. Bacon omelet or Belgian waffle? The choice here will decide the fate of a little girl 3 hours into the game, and whether or not she's going to get crushed by a bus or abducted by aliens. Yeah, no. I don't mind so much those kind of choices that seem kind of banal but have a bigger influence than you expect later on. more than I really don't like those choices which are just false choices, where no matter what you do, it gives you the same result. Like, don't even make it a choice, just continue playing the cutscene. There's no reason to give you a choice in that matter, if all choices are gonna lead to Rome. Now, if it does both, then I could see where it just continues the same way here, but then later on down the line it does something different. But that's not usually what happens. But yeah, bacon omelet, Belgian waffle, those are the big choices. Those are hard ones. Coffee can't fix this kind of tired. Well, I don't drink coffee, so I have no idea. I just kind of wake up and start my day. So yeah, I'm a psychopath. I get it. Being able to get up and actually do things without any sort of stimulant bringing you to it. It's just one of the things that ADHD does. Caffeine doesn't actually work on me. I can sit there and drink 3 things of Mountain Dew and not even suffer the mildest of side effects. So, be able to fall asleep literally right after that. There's an interesting story to that one. But no, I don't drink any coffee, so I wouldn't know. But maybe it does better. Maybe it wakes you up more than regular drinks or whatnot. I remember these Grumpy Cat memes. Oh man, they were so funny. And I also know, gamers, we do drink energy stuff a little too often. You gotta let your heart rest just a little bit. Make some healthier choices. They'll give you a bit more energy too, When the boss tells you that you actually have to come into work every day, why are you so obsessed with me? Yeah, no. That's the unfortunate thing about being a small-time YouTuber. You have work, and my work takes a great portion of my day. There are times in which I spend from 7 in the morning to 11 at night at work, or 12 at night now since they changed some of the rules around. But yeah, it's hard, but that's what being an adult is all about. You learn to set the things that you like aside long enough to get the things that you need. So, I mean, your parents did it before you. Of course, they didn't have video games to contend with, but in the end, the idea is the same. They had things that they enjoyed doing outside of work as well. And sometimes work is a great escape for a lot of the other responsibilities that would be occupying your life instead of video games. But, yeah. Going into work and having to work every day, not the most fun. Not the best. Atreus, who would kill his own father? Yeah, Kratos definitely is not the shining example of good sonship, I guess. But, he, in his own way, he is a great father. Like, he cares about his son. And even though he's strict and he's hard on him and he tries to push him in a certain way, it's because he cares about his son and he doesn't want him to wind up going down the same dark path that he did. So I understand this. I understand the point from Kratos, but man, I did play God of War 3, the remastered version, and I didn't realize that there was so much unfortunate content in that game. But the story, Kratos definitely killed his father there, and so I imagine that he probably didn't tell Atreus everything of what happened. But you could hear when he was talking about it that he was pushing the subject in a certain direction. And this one combines 2 of the memes we've had so far. Dad, I don't want a cat. Dad and the cat. Yeah, I know, right? It's usually the things that the dads don't want that they fall the most in love with. I think that it's because, it gets forced upon you, and then you're like, well, I might as well, and then that kind of responsibility kicks in, that fatherly responsibility. It's like, I have to take care of this. It's a life that is counting on me, and you form kind of that fatherly bond with it. But, yeah, Kratos, once again, he's not a bad father, but I can't see him enjoying the cat so much, considering the fact that he can barely handle Mimir. And, well, he can also barely handle Atreus, and Atreus can become a bear. So, I think that in the end, they have all of the quote-unquote pets that they actually need in that particular household. A lot of God of War memes today. Can destroy gods with his bare hands. Can't open a wooden door. And you see, this is a problem that I had with the God of War reboot, the most recent one before Ragnarok. It's like there are these big stone doors. He's sitting there pulling down this giant hammer that must weigh several thousand tons, and he's having problem opening a door without a chisel. I'm sorry, but you've got the wrong idea there. That's not exactly how strength works. It's not like, oh, I'm giga strong against everything else, and just this little like plank of wood. Oh no, I can't get in. Help, I've fallen and I cannot get up. Yeah, no, Kratos, you're lying, and I don't know why. It just makes you look weak. But yeah, you should be able to open a wooden door when you can pull down the frickin' mountains. Sure, bro, we can play split screen. Here you go. And you always get the worst controller. That looks like some sort of like art piece. That doesn't actually look like a controller, but I get it. Like, I get the idea that, my goodness, you always get the worst controller. Second player always gets the worst controller. And the reason for that is that your parents sat there and shelled out for the actual system, which usually comes with a controller. And that controller is the OEM controller. That's the one that comes right from the company. It's the best one there. And then when your parents have to shell out for more controllers, they're like, well, this one is cheaper, so I'm going to pay for that one, and you guys can use that one because you're probably not going to be playing together that often. So, and it's true, in the end, you don't usually play that much with another person, but so when you do play with another person and they have to use that messed up controller, then yeah, it's quite unfortunate. A game has got to be good when this thing, mushroom, is scarier than this, the gaping dragon. Nah, not really. I mean, I played Dark Souls 1 and I ran across those mushroom men. I don't remember ever getting hit by them, but I do know that they hit you pretty hard, can take you down pretty much in a single shot, whereas the Gaping Dragon usually takes multiple, all depending on what New Game Plus version you're on, or rendition, or amount. So, but the Gaping Dragon was generally very easy. I mean, it was one of the bosses in Dark Souls 1 that I was able to complete on my first try. Granted, I came to it a little bit later than I normally would have, but it looked kind of like a strange little crocodile at first. But yeah, I've never really ran into the mushroom, so I can't really rate this as being true or false. I would say art-wise, the Gaping Dragon is scarier, but hit-wise, definitely the mushroom guy. Let me tell you about Dark Souls. Sif. Oh man, I love Shiba Inus. I gotta say, they are some of the cutest dogs I have ever seen, ever. But yeah, Sif is pretty awesome. I felt really bad that we had to fight Sif. That was a great boss fight. Then evidently in Dark Souls 2, they have the Royal Rat Authority, which is kind of like a far uglier and more deranged form of Sif. But yeah, no, it's cute. That boss fight, I recommend you watch it if you haven't seen it. But the boss fight for the dog carrying the sword is pretty awesome. Love it. Hard, Cuphead. Harder, Dark Souls 3. Hardest, enjoying games instead of complaining about them. Well, I don't know. So Cuphead is harder for me than the Dark Souls game. And that's just because I don't like shooting games. Like, there is a lot of tactics and stuff like that. So I think that this is more preference than anything. But enjoying games instead of complaining about them? complaining about games just comes with the territory. You've got to complain about the fact that the game eats your inputs. You have to complain about the fact that you did indeed push jump like 30,000 times and you didn't actually jump. You have to complain that the hitboxes are not exactly where you would expect the hitboxes to be. It just comes with the territory, you know? If you don't want to complain about games, don't play games, or don't enjoy games, because it's usually the games that you enjoy most that you complain the most about. But yeah, I get it. I understand it. Me gaming all night. My mom finding out. Yeah, well, I don't know exactly what stance you're taking here, because the little guy beats the big guy in Dark Souls. So, you think that you're going to win against your mother? You know, for having gamed all night? I remember when I was a young kid and I was allowed to actually stay up late gaming when it was summer and my cousins were over and we were playing, I think it was Super Smash Bros. Melee. Anyway, and I remember my father, he found out that we were up late, you know, not even up that much later, like it was like an hour later. He got very upset. And then later on, my mom was like, well, no, I told them. But yeah, this meme very much applies as long as you know that little guy is probably going to die a lot more times than he wins. Kind of in true Dark Souls fashion. Receive special weapon as reward for a difficult quest. It's worse than the weapons I already have. Now, this is only true for certain games, okay? Because certain games have different like abilities for the special weapons. Like I know in Dark Souls, whereas like you could get the dragon weapons and whatnot, and that dragon sword that you get from cutting off the kite dragon's tail, that one has a very special R2 attack where its stats may not be the best, but that R2 attack does clear out a lot of things in your way pretty good. So there could be certain cases in which you want to use them, or, I mean, after you've beaten the game with the weapons of your choice that you enjoy, then you go through and you complete with those weapons and find out that they're actually not as bad as you thought they would just because they have different stats. But yeah, this does actually happen quite a bit, and you know, it is unfortunate, but there's still more that you can do with that, so take a look, you know, figure it out. Kids be like, got any games on your phone? Yeah, absolutely. My kids do this to me all the time. That's why I deleted all of the games on my phone. I don't have any games on my phone. And I just play from my consoles and computers. Not because they wouldn't play those consoles. I mean, my son keeps taking my Nintendo Switch all the time, but even though he has his own. But no, he wants mine. Anyway, with the advent of handheld gaming and stuff like that, there's not really a lot of this anymore, not that I've noticed, at least with my kids. But when you do go to other places and there are little kids around there, then yeah, they're gonna put their face right up in yours and be like, you got any games? This is a gaming world. I mean, it's taken over by storm. So that is just something you have to deal with. It's fun though. Enjoy it. Enjoy having the little kids sticking their face in yours asking for games. It's what life is about, you know, just passing on that passion to the next generation. Who mom thinks I play against. Who I play against. Yeah, it's true. A lot of times you consider that the people on the other end of the screen are probably neckbeards and don't have anything else to do besides play video games, rate video games, and dunk on anyone who happens to come into their lobbies. You know, the no-lifers, the ones who have nothing better to do than play games. But usually they are just little kids, just having fun on their own, playing their own video games, enjoying whatever it is that they're finding. And yeah, a lot of times little kids can be even worse than the neckbeards because they don't understand the boundaries yet. The neckbeards at least make the choice to go over them and will oftentimes just instigate a problem and retreat. Whereas kids, they don't understand where that line is. Like, it hasn't been taught to them yet. So it's kind of like a baby snake. It just releases more venom than a full-grown snake, just because it has no idea how to control it. But yeah, no, true, accurate, 10 out of 10. Would indeed fight against this kid. New gaming content is uploaded Monday through Saturday. Please subscribe and join in with the community as we try and build up this YouTube channel. Hope that you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see y'all next week.